There are uncertainties over the economic situation that await Nigerians and other residents in the West Africa country in 2025 after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu presented the sum of 49.7 trillion Naira's 2025 Budget Appropriation Bill before the joint session of the Senate and House of Representatives of the National Assembly, with a revenue target of 34.82 trillion Nairas, hikes the dollar to Naira exchange rate by 100%. From 750 Nairas in 2024 to pegging amount of 1,500 Nairas in 2025. It would be recalled that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his first budget presentation as Nigeria President on November 29, 2023, pegged 750 Nairas to $1 as exchange rate for 2024. The president pegged the dollar rate at 750 Nairas when the foreign currency was fluctuating between 856 Nairas and 900 Nairas as at last quarter of 2023. The 750 Nairas dollar rate pegging for 2024 by the president saw the foreign currency currently exchanging between 1,656 Nairas and 1,700 Nairas, representing more than 100% negative increasement in the last quarter of 2024 when compared to the dollar rate as at December 2023. With the president pegging 2025 dollar rate at 1,500 Nairas, there are possibilities that the dollar may trade between 2,856 Nairas and 3,000 Nairas before the end of the last quarter of 2025. In line with the previous year's economic and exchange rate behavioral patterns and realities in the country. This shows there may be more harder and tougher times in 2025 for larger numbers of residents, both the middle class and the poor in the country, as the federal government showed more wider vision and quest for more revenue in the year ahead. The 2025 budget shows that more than 30% of the 49.7 trillion Naira will be used to service existing loans, with the government planning to borrow more new loans in 2025, sequel to the budget deficit of more than 13 trillion Naira. According to local media, the passage of the 2025 Appropriation Bill for second reading within 24 hours by the lawmakers marks an important milestone in the budgeting process. The bill will undergo further scrutiny and debate before its final passage. As the Senate resumes its plenary session in January, lawmakers are expected to delve deeper into the budget and make necessary adjustments so that it aligns with the country's development priorities. Details of the 2025 budget presentation, as reported by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, reads in full below. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Wednesday in Abuja assured Nigerians of better days ahead as economic reforms begin to yield positive results, with noticeable signals in improved security, education, health care, and a globally acknowledged 3.4% GDP growth in third quarter of 2024. President Tinubu gave the assurance at the National Assembly during presentation of the 49.7 trillion Naira's 2025 Appropriation Bill to the joint session of the Senate and House of Representatives, attributing the successes recorded so far in economic reforms to the patience, resilience and tolerance of Nigerians in supporting the process. The President projected an expenditure bill of 49.7 trillion Nairas, which is 35% higher than the 28 trillion Naira's budget of 2024, with priority on education, healthcare and security. President Tinubu said the 2025 budget will focus on restoration, securing peace and rebuilding prosperity, which reflects the core vision of the renewed hope agenda of improving the livelihood of Nigerians through the strengthening of social and physical infrastructure, and ensuring inclusivity in reaching development goals. The 2025 budget proposal again reinforces our administration's roadmap to secure peace, prosperity, and hope for a greater future for our beloved nation. This budget, christened Budget of Restoration, Securing Peace, Rebuilding Prosperity, strikes at the very core of our renewed hope agenda and demonstrates our commitment to stabilizing the economy, improving lives, and repositioning our country for greater performance. The journey of economic renewal and institutional development, which we began 18 months ago as a nation, is very much underway. It is not a journey of our choosing but one we had to embark on for Nigeria to have a real chance at greatness. I thank every Nigerian for embarking on this journey of reforms and transformation with us. The road of reforms is now clearly upon us, and as the president of this blessed nation, I know this less traveled road has not been easy. That there have been difficulties and sacrifices. They will not be in vain, and we must keep faith with the process to arrive at our collectively desired destination, the president said. President Tinubu noted that the 2025 budget will focus on restoration and seek to consolidate on the key policies instituted to restructure the economy to boost human capital development, increase the volume of trade and investments, bolster oil and gas production, and get the manufacturing sector humming again and ultimately increase the competitiveness of our economy. He said the ongoing economic reforms would not be reversed. Rather, it will be strengthened to build on the gains of stimulating the economy to be more robust, equitable, predictable, and globally competitive. We do not intend to depart from this critical path to strengthen the Nigerian economy. Just as I believe in the resilience of our economy to withstand the current challenges, I also strongly believe in the resilience of the Nigerian people. Again, I summon the unstoppable Nigerian spirit to lead us on as we work to rebuild the fabric of our economy and existence. The improvements we witnessed in the 2024 budget have led us into the 2025 budget. The goals of advancing national security, creating economic opportunities, investing in our youthful population, infrastructure development, and national reorientation form the core of the 2025 budget. But more than that, this will lay a solid foundation for Nigeria's future growth trajectory, President Tinubu stated. The president told the lawmakers that the Nigerian economy was gradually rebounding. I report today that our economy is responding positively to stimulus. Our objective is to further stimulate the economy through the implementation of targeted fiscal stimulus packages through public expenditures and specific non-inflationary spending. The reforms we have instituted are beginning to yield results. Nigerians will soon experience a better and more functional economy. Global economic growth for the outgoing year 2024 was projected at 3.2%, and against predictions, our country made significant progress. Our economy grew by 3.46% in the third quarter of 2024, up from 2.54% in the third quarter of 2023. Our foreign reserves now stand at nearly $42 billion, providing a robust buffer against external shocks. Our rising exports are reflected in the current trade surplus, which now stands at 5.8 trillion naira, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. These clear results of gradual recovery, among others, reflect the resilience of our economy and the impact of deliberate policy choices we made from the outset, he added. On the performance of the 2024 budget, President Tinubu said remarkable milestones were achieved, with 14.55 trillion naira in revenue, meeting 75% of target as of the third quarter, while 21.60 trillion naira was recorded in expenditure, representing 85% of target in the third quarter. The president noted that outlook on 2025 was more positive for Nigerians. The 2025 budget seeks 2. Restore macroeconomic stability, enhance the business environment, foster inclusive growth, employment, and poverty reduction, promote equitable income distribution and human capital development. Our budgetary allocations reflect the administration's strategic priorities, especially in the implementation of the renewed Hope Agenda and its developmental objectives. In 2025, we are targeting 34.82 trillion naira in revenue to fund the budget. Government expenditure in the same year is projected to be 49.7 trillion naira, including 15.81 trillion naira for debt servicing. A total of 13.08 trillion naira, or 3.89% of GDP, will make up the budget deficit. This is an ambitious but necessary budget to secure our future, the president added. President Tinubu said the government would target inflation and bring it to 15%, improve foreign exchange from approximately 1,700 naira per US dollar to 1,500 naira, and a base crude oil production assumption of 2.06 million barrels per day (MBPD). Other projections for 2025, the president explained, will include reduced importation of petroleum products alongside increased export of finished petroleum products, bumper harvests, driven by enhanced security, reducing reliance on food imports, increased foreign exchange inflows through foreign portfolio investments, higher crude oil output and exports, coupled with a substantial reduction in upstream oil and gas production costs. The budget projects inflation will decline from the current rate of 34.6% to 15% next year, while the exchange rate will improve from approximately 1,700 naira per US dollar to 1,500 naira, and a base crude oil production assumption of 2.06 million barrels per day (MBPD), he said. President Tinubu said the priority areas for the 2025 budget allocations are defense and security, 4.91 trillion nairas, infrastructure, 4.06 trillion nairas, health, 2.48 trillion nairas, and education, 3.52 trillion nairas. Our administration has so far disbursed 34 billion naira to over 300,000 students via the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, (NELFUND). In the 2025 budget, we have made provision for 826.90 billion naira for infrastructure development in the educational sector. This provision also includes those for the Universal Basic Education, UBEC, and the 9 new higher educational institutions, he noted. In his remarks, the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, thanked the president for his bold and courageous efforts in rebuilding the Nigerian economy, assuring that the lawmakers will remain selfless and patriotic in supporting the reforms, particularly at the grassroots. Describing President Tinubu as a national treasure, Senator Akpabio commended the president for improvement in security, international recognition and treatment of Nigerians with more dignity, facilitating student loans, reduced debt servicing, social security for the less privileged, and signing of the minimum wage bill with promptness. He said those critical of the proposed tax reforms should create more time to study the details of the bill before the National Assembly. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, said the tax reform will ensure equitable, efficient collection. European Commission, EC President von der Leyen on Tuesday visited Turkey President Recep Erdogan and discussed additional €1 billion for the settlement of Syria refugees in Turkey days after Israeli forces patrolled inside a recently seized demilitarized zone along the border with Syria, as Tel Aviv announced plans to double the number of Israelis living in the part of the Golan Heights Israel captured from Syria in 1967, with reports of hostilities between US-backed Kurdish group and Turkey-backed Islamist group in recent days in Kurdish towns, which United Nations Special Envoy for Syria, Geir Pedersen, said on Tuesday there have been conflicts in Syria in last 2 weeks, and the conflicts among the rebels, if left uncontrolled, may be catastrophic. European Commission, in a news release on Tuesday, reported that the Commission President visited Turkey and discussed additional €1 billion for 2024 to support Turkey's efforts to host Syria refugees. The news release reads in details thus: "Thank you, President Erdogan, for your warm welcome to Ankara today. Let me start with our discussion on Syria. The collapse of the Assad regime offers new hope to the Syrian people, but it equally comes with risks. The situation on the ground remains extremely volatile, so we are closely monitoring the developments. The Syrian people deserve a peaceful transition, one that preserves their country's territorial integrity and sovereignty, one that upholds state institutions, and one that reflects the aspirations of the Syrian people in all their diversity. So, it means that national unity must be respected, and minorities must be protected. This is aligned with the principles agreed by the foreign ministers meeting in Aqaba. Europe is ready to do its part to support Syria at this critical juncture. Allow me to mention some points where the European Union will be active right away. Our top diplomat returns to Damascus. We already have a European presence in Damascus through our humanitarian teams. Indeed, we have always maintained our presence in Syria to support those in need while respecting the principles of no contact, no cooperation, no funding to the Assad regime. But now we have to step up and continue our direct engagement with HTS and other factions. We will enhance our engagement in early recovery, including basic services like electricity and water, and infrastructure. We have increased our humanitarian aid to more than 160 million euros for this year alone. And we have launched a humanitarian air bridge, and the first goods are expected to arrive this week. Europe is already Syria's biggest donor. Since 2011, our annual Syria conferences have mobilized over 33 billion euros. We must continue this support, with a new focus on reconstruction. This will be a step-by-step approach. And we would need to start a discussion on sanctions relief. But this can only happen if real progress on a peaceful transition is seen on the ground. Indeed, the fall of the Assad regime gives hope to the Syrian people. The hope of returning to their homes and rebuilding their lives. It is the most natural feeling there is. However, the lack of predictability demands utmost caution. Therefore, one thing is very clear: all returns must be voluntary, safe, and dignified. We are working with UNHCR to make sure that the necessary conditions are met. President Erdogan, Turkey has an essential role to play in stabilizing the region. Together, we must also remain vigilant against terrorism. The risk of a Daesh resurgence, particularly in eastern Syria, is real. We cannot let this happen. Turkey's legitimate security concerns must be addressed. At the same time, it is important to allow all Syrians, including all minorities, to be safe. Today, we also discussed the relationship between Turkey and the European Union. Our relationship is as rich as it is complex. But one thing is clear: it is moving forward. For good reasons. One of my first travels at the beginning of my second mandate brings me here to Ankara. Our economic relationship is stronger than ever. The numbers speak for themselves. Trade between us hit a record high of 206 billion euros last year. The European Union is Turkey's largest trade and investment partner. Our intention is to strengthen this further. We launched a new high-level dialogue on trade last June, and we will now start a high-level dialogue on the economy. And we are also exploring opportunities for renewed engagement with the European Investment Bank in Turkey. I also look forward to resuming discussions on a modernized customs union. We both have a lot to gain here. However, as we discussed, progress will require stronger efforts. Specifically, we need to address a number of trade barriers. I asked my Commissioner Maros Sefcovic to work on this immediately together with you. We also discussed the need to prevent the circumvention of our sanctions against Russia. And of course it is also important to re-establish talks with Cyprus within the UN framework. I want to acknowledge that Turkey has consistently shouldered the responsibility of hosting millions of Syrian refugees over the years. And we have stood by you in this effort. Since 2011, the EU has provided nearly 10 billion euros to support refugees and the hosting efforts of local communities. I am very pleased to announce today that an additional 1 billion euros for 2024 is on its way. This will support, among others, healthcare and education of refugees in Turkey. It will continue to contribute to migration and border management, including voluntary returns of Syrian refugees. And as things evolve on the ground, we can adapt this €1 billion to the new needs that might occur in Syria. Turkey continues to be a key partner in managing migration along the Eastern Mediterranean route. It is crucial that we work together on our shared priorities and deepen our cooperation on border management, the fight against migrant smuggling, and on visas. There is a lot of work ahead of us, and I look forward to continuing our good cooperation, both in supporting a Syrian-led and Syrian-owned political transition and in deepening the relationship between Turkey, as a candidate country, and the European Union. Together, we can achieve a lot for our people, for the region, and beyond. European Commission news release ends in quote. Reuters on Tuesday reported that an international war crimes prosecutor said evidence from mass graves in Syria exposed a state-run machinery of death under toppled leader Bashar al-Assad, with over 100,000 tortured and murdered since 2013. Speaking after visiting two mass grave sites in the towns of Qutaifa and Najaf near Damascus, former U.S. War Crimes Ambassador at Large, Stephen Rapp told Reuters, "We certainly have more than 100,000 people that were disappeared into and tortured to death in this machine. I don't have much doubt about those kinds of numbers given what we've seen in these mass graves. We really haven't seen anything quite like this since the Nazis," said Rapp, who led prosecutions at the Rwanda and Sierra Leone war crimes tribunals and is working with Syrian civil society to document war crimes evidence and is helping to prepare for any eventual trials. From the secret police who disappeared people from their streets and homes, to the jailers and interrogators who stalked and tortured them to death, to the truck drivers and bulldozer drivers who hid their bodies, thousands of people were working in the system of killing, Rapp said. Adding, "We are talking about a system of stealth terror, which became a machinery of death." AFP also reported on Tuesday that a UN envoy has warned that Syria's protracted conflict has not ended yet, even as victorious Islamist-led rebels stepped up contacts with governments that deemed ousted President Bashar al-Assad a pariah. Assad fled Syria just over a week ago following a lightning offensive spearheaded by the Islamist Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, more than 13 years after his crackdown on democracy protests precipitated one of the deadliest wars of the century. However, the United Nations Special Envoy for Syria, Geir Pedersen, said on Tuesday, "There have been significant hostilities in the last 2 weeks, before a ceasefire was brokered. I am seriously concerned about reports of military escalation. Such an escalation could be catastrophic," said Pedersen, referring to fighting between the US-backed, Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces (SDF) and Turkish-backed groups who have captured several Kurdish towns in recent weeks. Washington later announced it had brokered an extension to the ceasefire in the flashpoint town of Manbij and was seeking a broader understanding with Ankara. The Manbij truce is extended through the end of the week, and we will, obviously, look to see that ceasefire extended as far as possible into the future, State Department spokesman Matthew Miller told reporters. That came amid fears of an assault by Turkey on the Kurdish-held border town of Kobani, also known as Al-Arab. SDF leader Mazlum Abdi proposed in a post on social media platform X the establishment of a demilitarized zone in Kobani under US supervision. Washington regards the SDF as an important ally in its war against the Islamic State group in Syria, although the new Damascus authorities have made clear their opposition to continued Kurdish self-rule in the northeast. The HTS military chief said in an AFP interview on Tuesday that Kurdish-held areas of Syria will be integrated under the country's new leadership. The Kurdish people are one of the components of the Syrian people. Syria will not be divided and there will be no federal entities, said Muraf Abu Khazra, known by his nom de Gore Abu Hassan al-Hamawi. Abu Khazra also called on the international community to find a solution to repeated Israeli strikes on military targets and its incursion into the UN-patrolled buffer zone on the Golan Heights. Israel has carried out hundreds of strikes on Syrian military assets since Assad's overthrow in what it says is a bid to prevent them falling into hostile hands. Israeli troops also occupied strategic positions in a UN-patrolled buffer zone in a move UN Chief Antonio Guterres described as a breach of the 1974 armistice. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a security briefing on Tuesday on Mountain Hermon, Syria's highest peak, one of the areas of the buffer zone that Israel seized this month. Netanyahu visited outposts at the summit of Mountain Hermon for the first time since they were seized by the military. Katz's office said, AFP report. Men of the Nigeria police force have raided series of criminal hideouts across the country, arrested 128 suspects after the police operatives had earlier arrested armed robbers in Anambra State and recovered over 129 billion naira counterfeit currencies from suspected criminals in Kano State ahead of the 2024-2025 Christmas and New Year celebrations in the country. Details of the news reports are presented verbatim as reported by the Force Public Relations Officer, Olumuyiwa Adejobi below. As the festive season approaches, the Nigeria Police Force remains vigilant and proactive, ramping up its efforts to ensure the safety and security of all citizens. In a series of proactive measures, the force has intensified its operations, leading to numerous successful raids, arrests and recoveries. In line with the directive of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun to in place efficient security measures against crime during this festive season, operatives of the Nigeria Police Force in several state commands across the country have carried out intensive patrols and raids, successfully dislodging and arresting scores of hoodlums and recovering dangerous weapons. Operatives of the Lagos State Police Command on the 14th of December 2024 carried out several raids of criminal hideouts in the Isolo axis of the state, successfully apprehending 43 suspects, and recovering various exhibits including large quantities of cannabis, daggers, swords and several fetish items. In the same vein, on the 15th of December 2024, police operatives of the Lagos State Command arrested one Charles Oji, male, at Isheri Osun, Lagos State, who tried to steal a Toyota Hilux from where it was parked. Upon his arrest and a subsequent search, 7 different Toyota car keys were recovered from him. Operatives of the Nigeria Police Force continue to demonstrate unwavering commitment to safeguarding lives and property by diligently increasing vigilance and executing coordinated security measures in various regions across the country. This concerted effort is notably observed in states like Kaduna, Zamfara, Taraba, Edo, Delta, Benue, and Niger, among other critical areas. As we enter the final stretch of the festivities, the Nigeria Police Force assures citizens that it will continue its mission to deter crime and protect the lives and property of all Nigerians. The force remains unwavering in this mission to provide a safe environment during the holiday season, as members of the public are urged to stay vigilant and report any suspicious activities to the authorities. As we approach the Yuletide festivities, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, has assured the good citizens of Nigeria of the emplacement of intensive security measures to ensure the safety and protection of lives and property. To this effect, the IGP has directed the immediate deployment of adequate personnel to strategic locations, key areas and identified hotspots across all states, an initiative aimed at curbing traffic, highway robberies, and other criminal activities during this period of increased mobility, public gatherings and celebrations. The IGP's directive includes the mobilization of police officers to highways, major roads, urban centers, and recreational centers nationwide. Officers will be strategically positioned to deter crimes via increased police presence and visibility on major highways and roads prone to criminal activities, particularly highway robberies, which tend to spike during festive seasons. In line with the IGP's commitment to ensuring public safety, the Nigeria Police Force has already made significant headway in combating these crimes. On the 10th of December 2024, police operatives attached to the Lagos State Command arrested 4 suspected robbers identified as Akim Alabi, male, Adewale Sobeson, male, Emmanuel Izayabe, male, and Francis Okoko, male. The suspects, upon their arrest, confessed to being members of a robbery syndicate operating around the coastal axis in the state. Similarly, on the 6th of December 2024, police operatives of the Anambra State Command trailed and arrested a suspected armed robber identified as Miracle Makaloi, male, at Oka. Upon his arrest and subsequent interrogation, the suspect led the operatives to his apartment, where during a search, 3 AK-47 rifles were recovered. The Nigeria Police Force stands firm in its commitment to providing a safe environment during and beyond the Yuletide season. With ongoing proactive measures, including enhanced patrols, community engagement, and a specific focus on public safety, the force is dedicated to ensuring that the festive season is celebrated without the shadow of crimes. While urging citizens to cooperate with heightened police presence which promises to be professional and law-abiding, the IGP further encourages citizens to remain vigilant and report all suspicious activities to the police and other law enforcement agencies. The Nigeria Police Force, under the leadership of the 22nd Indigenous Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetukun, in its relentless effort to tackle all forms of crimes and criminality, continues to mark giant strides in the fight against crime in all spheres. Recently, in Kano, the police successfully recovered the sum of 129,542,823,000 Nairas in counterfeit currencies, with a breakdown of 3,366,000 in counterfeit US dollars, 51,970 in counterfeit CFA franc, and 1,443,000 in counterfeit Naira. This momentous achievement was recorded on the 8th of December 2024 at Jiwale, Kano State, where police operatives acting on credible intelligence accosted one Nura Ibrahim, male, and upon a conducted search, discovered 392,000 Nairas counterfeit notes, 7,800 US dollars counterfeit notes, and 5 different ATM cards. Further investigation led to the arrest of his accomplices, Mohammed Muntari, male, and Usman Abdullahi, male, as well as the recovery of the other counterfeit currencies. In another development, intensifying the efforts against gun running and the proliferation of arms in the country, the Nigeria Police Force on the 9th of December 2024 arrested 3 suspected gun runners identified as Buhari Suleiman, male, Jamil Yakubu, male, and Aliyu Abdullahi, male, along the Kaduna-Kano Expressway, Kaduna State. The suspects were apprehended after the police operatives noticed their suspicious activities and approached them to question them. A subsequent search was conducted, which led to the recovery of 216 rounds of 9mm live ammunition and 1 round of AK-47 ammunition. Similarly, on the 8th of December 2024, police operatives in Kebbi State rescued 36 victims of kidnapping along Mairerai, Bena Road in Danko, Wasagu local government area, who were returning from their respective farms. As a follow-up to the rescue, police operatives have visited the community to engage its members. They briefed the rescued victims and assure the people of its continuous readiness to ensure their safety and security. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetukun, once again reiterates the commitment of the Nigeria Police Force to combating all forms of crime and criminality, especially economic saboteurs. The force remains vigilant, steadfast, and unforgiving towards those who would threaten the national security and economic progress of our dear country.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.